So where did we stop? Where
You
Blake's...
said you had walked in the door.
There was a moth. Oh, we knew we had to spend the rest of our lives together there. And it was such a wonderful, kind of bare farmhouse, you know, with iron beds and simple furniture. And we just, then it turned out, who owned that house? Well, what else but distant Tudor relatives?
Mm-hmm.
And some great aunt of Granddad's had lived there, come up from Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and lived there. That was Mrs. William Tudor and her son, way back in the last of the 1890s or 1880s or something like that. Anyway,
No, Elsie Tudor, where did she live? Was she in the log cabin? Or no, that was somebody.
Elsie Tudor.
No,
Elizabeth the Conqueror.
no, I'm sorry. Tasha Tudor said you have to see who in Hancock?
Tasha Tudor said, yes. Oh, cousin Elsa.
Elsa.
Oh, Elsa de Pfeffer lived, if you go down off the main street, and turn left before you get to the common there.
Okay.
You turn left, there's a little house, and then the next house set back was cousin Elsa's house, and it was pink. And we used to call it the Pink Schmink Colonial. It was a beautiful house, but she painted it pink, which was not what people in Hancock accepted, because that wasn't traditional. But it was very beautiful, and very beautiful inside. And we had a wonderful time with her. She was an amazing, amazing woman. She's worth a whole book just in herself. But Dad and I saw a fair amount of her. She was in her 80s. At one point, she just hopped on a plane and went to see Nasser. And then also the guy in Israel. Anyway, and actually, she just, with no bags or anything else, just hopped on a plane and went to Israel and went to Egypt and saw these guys and said, you know, you've got to make peace and so forth. Anyway, she was the one who, I'll never forget, the first time she came for supper when we were living over at the Leyland's house. She was talking about the Venusians, and Dad and I were looking at each other across the dining room table, wondering what on earth she was talking about. I mean, we had just, a year or two before or a couple of years before, been living in Italy and had spent some time with Venetians.
Yeah.
But Venusians, and she was talking about Venusians, and she was very big on flying saucers and extraterrestrial stuff. And she had many tapes in which Venusians and people from other planets were speaking. She gave, she would have these teas and play the tapes, and people would sit around in her house very politely and listen. And I remember on 2 occasions she rented the huge townhouse in Peterborough, you know, the great big town hall with a huge, it's where huge events take place. And one time she had a man there who had been to the moon and had brought potatoes back from the moon. This was long before the moonshot.
Right.
And he was standing on the stage in the Peterborough townhouse with the potatoes that he'd brought back from the moon. And then another time, and she rented the place and, invited many people to come. Another time she had invited a woman who'd had a Saturnian lover, a lover from Saturn. And her husband was standing right there with her. I'll never forget, she had long black gloves and a very sexy dress on. And she was talking about her Saturnian lover. And in those days, I mean, the thought of a married woman talking about a lover was very weird, but the fact that he came from Saturn made it all correct. Oh my God, it was just unbelievable. And Cousin Elsa was really just a darling. She was a very sweet person and really believed in these people. And then at one point, she found out that the tapes that she'd been inviting people to come to her, you had to be special to be invited to tea and come and listen to the tapes. She found that actually that they were hoaxes. And bless her heart, it could not have been easy, but she got in touch with everybody she ever had listened to the tapes and admit that they were all fakes. But she did a lot of really kind of amazing things. She wrote books. At one point she gave us, she gave us a subscription to some very far out, funny, apocalyptic news thing that used to come to the house. God, I forgot all about that. But she also gave us the plans for an ark, because she had been in touch with somebody who said the earth was going to go off its axis and everything would be flooded. And so unless you had this particular kind of ark, you would be drowned, you know. And so we had the plans for that ark. She was amazing. But she was also a delight.
Right.
A delightful woman. Quite a character. She was Dodo Daniel's mother and Kay Gilbert's mother. So,
and one of those is connected to the Forbes or something?
yeah. Oh, she had gone during World War I. She had gone to France to drive an ambulance, and she married the Count de Pierrefer. He was killed. She married the Count de Pierrefer and had 3 daughters by him. And then he died or was killed, I forget, I guess just died. And so she came back to this country and she married
with her 3
an
daughters?
architect.
With her 3
with
daughters?
the 3 daughters, and married an architect named Leland. And am I getting this right? And then actually had another child, a son named Tukey. And one of the, how did this happen? One of them married a Forbes, not one of the 3 daughters, but, I'm getting it mixed up. I can't remember. So Forbes Leland was the son of, I don't know, somehow or other, he fits in there. So he's a relative.
Right.
I do know it, but all of a sudden it's escaped me how Forbes fits in there, because the Forbes family was not the Tudors. They were another old New England family like the Tudors, who went to China and brought back, thousands of valuable things. I mean, they just stole or whatever, lots of stuff from China. And, Frederick Tudor had gone to India and places and done not very good things either. But the Forbes money all was from extorting China. And I think actually we're part of the whole British, or part of the whole opium trade and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that was that section of the family.
And the Tudors that were on Old Dublin Road, they were like other great aunts and cousins and...
Well, there's Tasha's Tudor's mother was Aunt Rosamond, who painted the very